So thank you so much for that.
No, I went to the meeting and it ended early, so
Oh, wow. That was good.
plenty of time to get here and set up.
Yeah. So the floor is yours, Prabhu. So you can all start now.
No introduction? Let me drink some water first. Okay, so we're very, very delighted to be once again with all the devotees from New Zealand. I don't know what the situation is down there lately, because the world situation has been quite fluid right now. Could be just a big hoax and we're headed, nothing's going to happen, or it could be another big lockdown. And anyway, we'll see what happens. But by Krishna's grace, we're all fine here and very happy to be with all of you. So I was thinking today, if I haven't done it before, I can't remember what I've spoken with whom, but I was thinking we would go to Barsana, the land of Srimati Radharani. Is that all right, Krishna Chandra?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So we have a very beautiful song about Radharani that's by Rupa Goswami, you all know very much. So I can't find my kartals today. So because my secretary Arjun, he's in Calcutta. So he knows where everything is. I can't find anything. So anyway, this is Kar and surface is Tal. So this is Kartal. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Charuni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Mudararati Vardhana Veshe Harini Skutta Vrinda Vipineshe. Samudararati Vardhana Veshe Harini Skutta Vrinda Vipineshe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Vrishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Vrishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Karunam Karumai Karunavarite Hari Saka Vrinda Vipinesi Dararati Vardana Veshe Harini Skuta Vrinda Vipinesi Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daiti Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daiti Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mohite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daiti Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daiti Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Sri Radhe Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. So this is a very beautiful song by Srila Rupa Goswami. And he says, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daiti. All glories to Radhe, who's the Daite. Daite means beloved. She's a beloved of Madhava. Gokula Tarani Mandala Moite. Tarani means young girls. Mandala, of all the young girls of Gokul, Moite, even she's bewildered, she's so beautiful that even the girls of Gokul are bewildered by seeing her. Even women are bewildered by seeing her beauty. Now somebody may ask, well, Rupa Goswami, he's a big Sanskrit scholar. He knows so many languages. He wrote so many books. He's very wise. Why he's writing a song about a young girl? But the last verse says, Sanaka Sanatan Varnita Charite. Sanatan, that means addressing the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras, we know they've been brahmacharis since the beginning of the universe. Varnite Charite, just like Chaitanya Charita Amrita. They're glorifying the character of Srimati Radharani, even brahmacharis. So we're not talking about ordinary girl. We're talking about Krishna's own Ladini Shakti. Krishna's very being, so to speak, is called Swarup Shakti. And it has three divisions. Sambit Shakti, by which everything is known. We know this word vidya, so it comes from this root bit. Sambit Shakti, and Sandini Shakti, by which everything exists. And lastly is Ladini Shakti, by which bliss is experienced. So all these three things are within Krishna himself. So we're not talking about ordinary girl. We're talking about nothing other than that Ladini Shakti of Lord Sri Krishna. So before we enter into the Barsana, we should kick out all mundane ideas about Radha and Krishna's pastimes. They're not ordinary people. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikachir Ladini Shakti Rasma. Pranaya means pastimes between young boys and young girls. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikachir Ladini Shakti Asma. It is manifestation of Krishna's own Ladini Shakti. Ekatmana vapi bhuvipara deha bedam gatoto. Radha and Krishna are not two. They're one. Ekatma. Deha bedi. They have divided in two forms. Ekatmana vapi deha bedam gatoto. When did they divide? Gatoto. Nobody can say. Since beginning of time, they've been divided to enjoy their pastimes together. Radha Krishna Baba, Radha Krishna Pranay Ladin Shakti. Ekhatmanava Vibhuya Dega Bedam Gatoto. Chaitanya Kyam Adunatha Dvayam Chaikyamaptam. Now, how can we understand all this very, very high philosophy? It is only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Kyam Aduna. In this modern times, Chaitanya has appeared. Because 500 years, according to Vedic history, that's modern times. Aduna, just like we go downtown and we see the signs, Adunic fashion, modern fashions. And so these modern times, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. And what happened? Tadvayam, those two, I can't get it on the screen, all right. Those two have again become one. Tadvayam, those two, cha ekyam, they've again become one. That is known as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now he tells a secret thing. Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but Radha Bhav a duty. Bhav means the mood, and duty means the luster. He's just like we know Lord Chaitanya is Gaur Sundar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Krishna is Sham Sundar. So where does he get that golden complexion? Gaur from Radharani. He's taken on the mood and luster of Srimati Radharani. By his mercy only, we're entering into these wonderful pastimes. So we thank you all for joining us today. We have a nice Prikama of Barsana lined up for you all. So Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadandigam Adadanastranandan Thairidam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dukhisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindhu Vaivasha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Well, most people just go to Barsana and climb up the hill, take darshan, get harassed by the pandas and come down. We're going to do the whole Prikama. Because there's 4 very special hills in Braj. Braj is completely flat, so wherever a hill is, there's something special. So we know the most famous hill is Govardhan Giriraj. And we have heard that he's incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Other is Nandagram, we call Nandeshwar Parvat, the hill of Nandeshwar Mahadev. So it's incarnation of Mahadev. And Barsana is the incarnation of Lord Brahma. So to get to the Prikama Marg proper, we have to do kirtan through a part of the village. And we're going to do kirtan very loudly so that all the villagers are enlivened by seeing the ISKCON Vaishnavas, some of them white, some of them brown, some of them black, all different colored Vaishnavas. And we come to out of the village, and we find ourselves between 2 hills. On our right side, this is Barsana Hill. And on our left side is another hill called Bilaskar. And right before we enter the valley between these 2 hills, there's a beautiful, what is that tree? Papri. It's called Papri tree. They're very, very tall Now they're losing all their leaves, but in the springtime they have little light green, very iridescent. They're not actually flowers, but they're little seed pods, light green, and they sway in the wind. It's very nice. So underneath that tree, there's a platform. We're going to sit there and speak something about Barsana. It's a very special place. So many of you can understand in Hindi, Barsa means to rain. But if we add an extra syllable into it, Barsana means to cause it to rain. Because sometimes there's clouds in the sky, but no rain is coming. Sometimes we send airplane up to seed that we call seed the cloud, put some chemical and cause it to rain. We need some cause. Actually, the natural cause is that this, there's so many trees on the surface of the earth. Gradually, we're cutting them all down, unfortunately. And they produce gases that go up and react with the clouds and regulate the rain. They say that in the Himalayas, there's irregular rain because the Britishers came and they killed all the very oak trees and other types of very, very valuable wood trees. And so the natural foliage is no longer there. So now it's irregular rainfall. So it causes the rainfall and regulates the rainfall. So, and here not ordinary rain is following, but rain of Krishna Prem. So we need someone to cause that rain to come. That is Radharani. She's the Barsani Wali, the one who causes Krishna's rain of mercy to fall on us. And we're going to go all over her holy dham. And before us, we see in front of us, we see a little enchanting, winding path going between the two hills. And there's special trees we call dungar. They're hanging over the path. And on our right side, we see on top of the hill a very beautiful temple called Jaipur Mandir. And we eventually reach a place where the two hills meet. Now this Valaskar is actually incarnation of Krishna, because he cannot live very far from Srimati Radharani. So he is incarnated as this hill. And those of you who've been with me on Prikrama, you've seen that there, all the rocks on the left side of the path are blackish. And we'll see that on the right side of the path, all the hills are yellowish. As you may remember from the Brahma Vimohan Lila, we're studying that right now here in Vrindavan. This is the last chapter that Prabhupada translated. All about Brahma stealing the cowherd boys. And when Brahma came back, he saw an amazing sight. He realized he was just a Jugnu, a little firefly in front of Krishna. It was like the sun. What is a firefly in front of the sun? And that's Brahma. We can just imagine who we are. We don't even breathe. And we're so puffed up thinking I'm so important. So he fell down like a golden stick. Because Lord Brahma's complexion is golden. So all the rocks on this side where Lord Brahma's hill is are yellowish. And they come down, they meet at a very, very narrow pass. In Hindi, we call Sankari Khor. Sankari Khor, very narrow path. Now, on the other side of that pass is a village called Chiksoli. And Chiksoli is the village of Chitrasaki. In fact, on the other side of the hill, there's another road. You come to Chitradevi Temple, very beautiful temple run by a very nice Vaishnava and Nimbarka Sampradaya called Radharaman. But anyway, we're on this side and we're stuck at this pass. Now, on the other side of this pass, Chiksoli is there, and Chiksoli is famous for butter, milk, yogurt, ghee, all these nice milk products. So every day, Radharani and her Sakhis, they go there to collect all of these nice milk products. And then they come back through the pass. Now, Krishna knows that they have gone there, so he was herding his cows nearby. So he comes with all his cowherd boyfriends, and he blocks the pass with his cowherd stick. And Radharani comes walking, and Radharani's walking. That's described. Raghunath Goswami writes so beautifully about Radharani that the ankle bells on her feet are sprinkling little drops, not drops, but little sprays of nectar on all living beings, moving and non-moving. Ching, 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 ching. And she's got this pot of yogurt on top of her head. And she described that Radharani walks just like a swan. Now, I lived in India for almost 40 years. I've never seen a swan. I've seen geese, I've seen ducks, I've seen so many things. Maybe in the South, I don't go spend much time in the South. But I saw swans in Ireland. In Inishrath, we have a whole dweep, and there's so many swans are swimming around. And we used to have swans in Miami. When I was in Miami Temple, they used to come up to us when we were taking prasad. So we watched how they walked. So Radharani is coming with this big pot on her head. Ching, ching, ching. And Krishna stops her. And she says, please let us pass. And Krishna says, Are, you girls are making a big profit selling all this buttermilk and yogurt, and you don't give any tax to your king. And Radharani says, well, here, my father, Vrishabhanu, is the king. We don't have to give tax to anyone. So then Lalita Sakhi becomes the advocate for Radharani. And Madhumangal, he becomes the advocate for Krishna. And Madhumangal says, maybe Vrishabhanu is the king here, but whole of Braj is, the king is Nanda Baba. So you have to give tax. And Radharani says, we come here every day and nobody stops us. Besides, you fellows, you were all living over there in Gokul with your little friend here. And he created so much trouble stealing butter, milk, and yogurt. And everyone went to King Kams and complained. And King Kams came with 100 cavalry soldiers. And you fellows, you fled away from that place. You crossed over the Jamuna, came over here. And Vrishabhanu Maharaj, out of the kindness of his heart, he gave you a tiny corner of his kingdom to stay. And now you're claiming to be the kings of the whole place. Just see how impotent, how puffed up. So Madhumangal says, wait a minute. Where did you hear this story? This is not bona fide. We're going to the GBC. You're preaching deviant philosophy. And Madhumangal says, look, Nanda Baba is the king of the whole of Braj, and for every argument you make, we're going to double the tax. And Lita Sakhi says, yeah, what about you guys? You're taking your cows everywhere and eating all the grass. You should pay tax for that. But I'm like, all right, now we're going to double the tax. Not only that, you girls are picking all the flowers. We're going to tax you for that too. In this way, the advocates are making the arguments back and forth and back and forth. This pot of yogurt on Radharani's head is getting very heavy. So finally, she gives Nandanandan a little push. Now you have to understand, they're just like little children at this point. So when you offend a little boy, if his false ego is damaged, when he becomes angry, it's just like an atomic bomb has gone off into his heart. And he grabs the mouth of that pot, pulls it down off of Radharani's head. And Radharani, she grabs the other side of that mouth of that pot. And we just described what happens when little boys get angry. We're afraid to describe you what happens when little girls get angry. Radharani's crossing her eyebrows and shooting darts at Nandanandan, and they begin pushing one another. And all this Radharani calls, and all the Sakis get behind her and begin to push. And all the cowherd boys get behind Krishna and they begin to push. And they're pushing back and forth and back and forth. The cowherd girls are pulling on the sikas of the cowherd boys pulling on the skirts of the Sakis. Like this big push of war is going on. Finally, Radharani, she screams, and all her Sakis begin to push and push and push. And Krishna Chandra sees they're going to break through. And there's a stone right there by the side of the path. So he takes that pot and pow! He smashes on that stone. Now, those of you who've been with me on Prikrama, you've seen, even after 5,000 years, the grease mark is still running down the side of that stone. Because yogurt's a little greasy, right? The grease stain is still there after 5,000 years. You have seen. Or if you haven't seen, you come whenever you can. I'll show you. And now we're going to go through that path. Now, we're going to have such a fun walking through that path singly. We can just imagine having a push of war in this path. Somehow or other, praying to Krishna and Radharani, we make it through this pass. Some people try to go up, but then they find that, oh, we have to come down, and it's very steep, and there's nowhere to put the feet. You just have to follow. And we see the Brishbhasini ladies coming with pots of yogurt on their head, and they just walk through with no hands, like it's nothing. And we're struggling, like, especially me, and now my age, I don't know if I can do Sakari Core anymore. And the other side, there's a beautiful platform, covered platform. And there's a big festival here on the 13th day after Radas. Radas means Astami. Then Nomi, there's a festival somewhere. Then Dasami, there's a festival somewhere. Then Ekadasi festival somewhere. Then Dwadasi, then Trayodasi. In Nandagam, all you will find in the sweet shops is jalebis. And all the Nandagam Vasis, they eat jalebis and they all head to Barsana. And you won't believe, there's not one square centimeter that is uncovered. Everybody's sitting all over the sides of the pass. And on that platform, there's a Brishbasi named Dan Bihari who has his Ras Lila group. So there's all these girls dressed up like Radharani and cowherd boys and Krishna. And they're playing, pushing back and forth, and they hit Dan Bihari like this, we call Gulcha. He chases them with his big silver cane, like that. And they all flee. Then all of a sudden, after they're singing songs and they describe this pastime, and then all the Chiksoli Vasis, they grab tree branches and rip up weeds and everything, and they come charging into the pass, and they pick up Radha and Krishna on their shoulders, and somebody grabs that pot of yogurt, and then they go through the pass. Somehow they left the pass open. So they go through the pass and then smash that yogurt pot on that same stone. And everyone jumps all over one another to get some of that Mahaprasad. And then there's a secret path up to Sriji's temple, in a beautiful pool bungalow, flower palace is there, darshan. So that is this, on the Triadasi after Radhastami. The festival is there. Matki 4, breaking the pot. So now we're going to go through the village of Chiksoli, and we're going to chant very loudly to enliven all the Chiksoli Vasis. They're very happy to see us come. Some of them offer us chach. And just before we get out of the village, one lady comes and she stops us. She never lets me get through. I have a dear friend named Nandanlal Sharma. And his mother would never let me through this pass without getting roti, through this village without getting some roti. So we get some nice hot, steaming hot Brishbasi roti and saag, and sometimes a little kheer, and we rip it up and distribute to all the devotees. Then there's a place where you have to know that to turn right, and then we turn right and we come out to an opening. And in front of us, we look up and we see some sort of white palace on top of that hill. And if we look to our right, turn around and look to our right, very special palace is there. If you look closely, you can see that it's got cement peacocks in the little dome-like structures all around the roof. There's cement peacocks. This is a very special kutir. In fact, this is called Mor Kutir. Now, some of you know the meaning of Mor, what you say when you want extra prasadam, huh? No, Mor means peacock. So what happened was Krishna saw that Radharani and the Sakhis were watching something on top of the hill. So he went up there and he saw that Radharani was watching the dancing of the peacocks. So he also began to dance just like a peacock. And Peacock was dancing and he was dancing. Then he came before Srimati Radhika and she said, "You dance very nicely, but this peacock dances nicer than you." So then Krishna was dancing and Peacock was dancing and Krishna was dancing. And then he came before Brishpananandini. She said, "That was much better, but this peacock dances nicer than you." So then Radharani became Morni. If Mor is peacock, then Morni must mean peahen. And they began to dance as peacock and peahen. And there's a beautiful painting done by Nimbarka Sampradaya saint, who was an artist. He got darshan. He was doing his bhajan on top of this hill, and he got darshan of this Lila. And Radharani promised him that if you make a painting, you will see this, as long as you paint, you will see this Lila before your eyes. It's a beautiful, unfortunately, he doesn't let anybody take pictures. Although over the years, we managed to snap a few sneakily. Very beautiful painting. And all around the walls is peacock decorations and peacock tiles. And everything has to do with peacocks. And it's we had to go up so many steps. I don't go anymore. We have to go so many steps. And then we come back down to that clearing. Now it's used as a parking lot. And we look up and we see another palace. Like I said, when we first came, it was a big white palace on top of the other hill. That is called Man Mandir. It was what happened was one time Radha and Krishna were on top of that hill, and it was full moon night. And Krishna was describing the beauty of Srimati Radharani. And she said, her complexion is just as beautiful as the moon. And Radharani became furious. Why? Because Krishna was describing her beauty with something that's so imperfect. Moon has got so many spots. Actually, moon has got five bad qualities, panch dosh, 5 faults. First, we just explained he's kalank, he's spotted. Second is K, he shrinks. Third is Banki, he's crooked, like Banki Bihari. Third is Nisachar. You know Nisha? Nisha means night. So Char, to go, who goes at night? Who comes out at night? Rakshas. And when does the moon come? Nighttime, like a Rakshas. He's Nisachar. And fifth fault is Vishabandhu. Now, my God brothers and God sisters, other devotees also, they name their children Visvajit, Visvambar, Visvanath, all nice names like this. And what do all their friends call them? Hey, Vish. Now, some of you know in Hindi, Vish means poison. I'm always so embarrassed. Somebody goes, hey, Vish, and all the Vishbazis turn. You shouldn't worry about what you're going to name your child. You should worry about what people are going to call him. So, Vishabandhu means he's relative of the poison. Because when was the moon created? When they churned the ocean of milk. First poison came out. Then so many things came out. One of the things was the moon, which is Rava, the elephant. So many things came out. So he's born, moon is born from the same place as poison. So he's Vishabandhu, he's relative of the poison. And if that wasn't enough, in Sanskrit, we call the moon Chandra. Sounds too much like one of Radharani's competitors. Shh, don't say that. So for all these reasons, Radharani became furious and she ran away to hide. And Krishna was lamenting like anything. In fact, if you hear Krishna's lamentation, even rocks were melting. Even rocks would melt by Krishna's lamentation. After some time, Radharani reappeared, but dressed up just like Krishna. And Krishna said, hey, who are you? And Radharani said, I'm Krishna, who are you? And Krishna said, I'm Krishna, who are you? And Radharani said, I'm the real Krishna, who are you? No, you're an imposter. No, you're the imposter. No, I'm the real Krishna. No, I'm the real Krishna. So finally, Krishna Chandra said, look, if you're the real Krishna, or Radharani told him, if you're the real Krishna, then where is your Srimati Radharani? And Krishna, I'll play my flute, she'll come, you'll see. So he played on his flute and he opened his eye. No Radharani came. Again, he played on his flute. No Radharani came. Now he played so enchanting melody on his flute. Radharani could no longer maintain her disguise. When he opened his eyes, he saw, oh, Radharani's standing right in front of me. And he grabbed Radharani's hand and they ran off to Unchagaon to see if Lalita Sakhi can tell who is Radha and who is Krishna. Sri Sri Radha Krishna ki jai. Another pastime happened here. It was one time, because from above, when we were on either one of those palaces, we can look around. First of all, this man mandir. Man means anger. Man, you may have heard, man means heart. But man with the long A, that means, well, you take a little anger and some pride and some beauty and some coquettishness and you mix it all together like an artist, you get man. So when Radharani's upset, she does man. And there's a painting in this picture, in this temple. Radharani's there. She's looking away from Krishna. And Lalita Sakhi is taking her hand and trying to force her hand into Krishna Chandra's hand. Beautiful painting is there of this pastime. But from either temple, if we look around, we see this beautiful Braj Mandal extending as far as the eye can see in every direction. Especially certain seasons. Now they've planted all the winter wheat, so all the fields are beautifully green. And you get to see this Golok Dham. It is non-different. Actually, this is Golok Dham. This is Braja Dham, but it's non-different from the Golok Dham. Prabhupada has told many, many times. Every bird, bee, insect, everyone has something to do in Krishna's pastimes. And somebody always asks, what about snake? Just like sometimes in Goshala, big black cobra comes out. So one time, Krishna was too fresh with Radharani. So she fled away from him. And she was flying down the path like the wind. And Krishna Chandra couldn't catch her. Finally, a big black snake came down the path. He saw this little girl was going to trample on me. So he stood up, and Radharani screamed and she ran back into the arms of Sri Krishna. So even black snake has something to do with Krishna's pastimes. It's such a wonderful place. So next, there's a little stairway that goes up, and there's a small kund. Well, not so small, but anyway, there's not a huge kund, with many, many steps going down the sides. One time Krishna came here with his cows and there was no water. So he dug this kund with his flute. This flute is very handy for calling gopis, for calling cows, for digging kunds. We'll see in Bandarban he dug a well. Very handy flute, practical, prayogic. So on one side, we always see lots of monkeys here. Oh my goodness. They like to climb out onto the peepal trees and swing on the branch and woo, they dive into the water. Of course, now today it's very cold in Braj, so they won't be out today. But when it's nice and warm, they climb up the tree, go out on the branch, and boom, and we'll see so many beehives hanging in the peepal tree. So many peepal trees are there. When Krishna saw a peepal tree, like in front of Prabhupada's Samadhi, if you've ever been here, he said, Maya, Are Maya, what kind of tree is this whose leaf has got a tail? What kind of tree is this whose leaf has got a tail? Are Maya, ye kain ki pear hai, jiske patte ki poonche, ye kain ki pear hai, jiske patte ki poonche, Maya. And Mother Yasoda looked and said, Lala, this is peepal tree. If you see one, its leaf is shaped just like a heart and comes down to a little poonch, tail. And as soon as there's a little bit of wind, they begin to flutter. Just like in front of Prabhupada's Samay, big, huge, old people tree there. And they're very special. Because we learn in our biology class that plants give off oxygen in the daytime and carbon dioxide in the nighttime. But people trees, they give off oxygen 24/7. All day long, very important for the environment. So on one side of the kund, we see a little asan. This is the sitting place of Madhumangal. Because we heard how Chiksoli is famous for butter, milk, yogurt, ghee, all these, especially butter. And our Kanaya, he likes too much butter. He's known as Makan Chor. So he went with all the cowboys. They were peeking from house to house. And they peeked in the window of one house. They saw no one's at home. So they went around to the front door. And I've been in villages in India, remote villages, where nobody bothers to put lock. Nobody bothers to put lock. Just like everybody wants to go live in New York, the big apple, right? And you go and you have to go way up inside. Well, first of all, if you want to get to see your friend, you can't even open the door. First, there's a row of buttons with names, and you push your friend's button and a little voice comes, who's there? Then you identify yourself. And then as long as there's this horrible sound, you're able to open the door. Then you have to go up 30 floors. And find your friend's door, and you look, and there's a little piece of glass. And suddenly it gets dark. Somebody's peeking, who's outside? And then once they see who it is, then you hear all the locks. This is a big apple, but people live in such fear. So many locks. But in the village, nobody bothers to put locks. So they all went inside the house and they began to drink all the yogurt and eat all the makan. Meanwhile, that gopi came home. She heard some noise in her house. She peeked through the window and she saw what was going on. And now you've seen in India, we don't have one door. We always have two doors. And there's a bolt on the outside and there's a bolt on the inside. So she put the bolt from the outside. Means who's ever inside, now he can't get outside. And she ran to call all the other gopis. Meanwhile, Nandanandan, he also heard that sound. He knows the meaning. He looked around the room, he went out the window. So all the cowboys in Krishna, they all ran and they climbed up and they jumped out the window. Bing, bing, bing. But Madhumangal, first of all, he's lame. He couldn't run like the rest of them. He couldn't climb like the rest of them. Other problem is, although Madhumangal's Krishna's Sakha, he's his friend, he's not a Gopa. He's a Brahmin. And our Braj Brahmins do not tend to be very skinny fellows. So he finally made it up to the window, but when he tried to go to the window, boop, he got stuck. So all the gopis came back, they opened up the door, they ran inside, ha, we got you. And nobody's there, just his fat friend of Krishna stuck in the window. So they pulled him out of the window. Boop. And they tied his hands with flower garlands behind his back. And they said, now we got a hostage. When you have a hostage, you have a demand. So they said, now you call your friend Krishna here. And they tied a string around his sika and put it through the top of the tree. And then they yanked on that string. Oh, Kanaya! Oh, Kana! Oh, Krishna! Now, Krishna heard Madhumango crying. And he ran to that place. He said, "Hey, what have you girls done? Don't you know he's one of my sakhas, he's one of my friends, but he's not a gopa, he's a Brahmin. Now you did Brahman aparad. All your health and wealth and beauty, everything will be finished." Now, what do little girls worry about? Health, wealth, beauty. So they all became very frightened. Oh, Krishna, what can we do? Oh, Kana, what can we do? How can we get free from this aparad? And Krishna says, look, you go to your houses. First of all, you make an asana, you set Madhumangal down very comfortably. Then you go to your houses, you find out how many laddus you have in your house. You come back, feed all those laddus to Madhumangal. He'll forget all about the aparad. He will give you Ashirvad, blessing. So they made a nice asan for Madhumangal. They set him down very peacefully. They brought back all their laddus. They began to feed, ping, ping, ping. Madhumangal was very happy. He forgot about all the aparad. He was only giving them Ashirvad for their Manukamana. Manukamana means the dearmost desire in the heart. And what is the dearmost desire of all the gopis? That somehow or other Krishna become pleased with them. And that is Krishna consciousness in a nutshell. Everything we're doing, chanting our rounds, following principles, going to Mangalarti, we're doing all these things. Why? So Krishna will become pleased with us. We associate with devotees, we hear Srimad Bhagavatam in association with devotees. We do all these things just so Krishna will become pleased with. That is Krishna consciousness. Simple. Simple, but we make it complicated. Madhumangal ki jai. So now we enter the Gebarvan forest. This beautiful forest on the backside of Barsana Hill is called Gebarvan. All these special trees grow there. We call do. First, we go through this beautiful kunj. There's some creepers crawling over top like that. We go through this kunj. And we come out, we follow this path, and there's some stairs. You have to walk up some stairs. I don't like stairs so much anymore. So we go through this beautiful forest. And these trees, you will only find them on tops of hills like this, like Barsana. Because most trees, they grow down because all the water will go down, right? On top of the hill, you won't find any water. But these trees thrive where it's dry. They get just enough in the rainy season and monsoon season, and there's a winter monsoon also. They get just enough rain to sustain themselves. And they have little tiny, especially now, it's just the end of the rainy season. It just ended just a few weeks ago. So it's all beautiful little emerald drop leaves. And then behind came little topaz flowers, yellow flowers. And after those flowers came little tiny ruby fruits. And in a little while in the springtime, we won't find any leaves. When we come for Gaur Purnima, there's no leaves. But the trees are very light colored. And the sun at that time, springtime, sun is very bright. So it looks like a forest of silver filigree trees. And this forest, if you take two stones, if you hit them together, they go clack, 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 clack. But if you're in the right consciousness and you grab the right stones, ding, 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 just like ankle bells. Huh? Very mystical forest. Very special forest. So we go through this Geberman forest, and sometimes we find some, here and there, there's we call kareel. There's absolutely no leaves. If you've seen leaves, that's because some little creeper has crawled up inside. Because the creepers like there's so many thorns. There's only twigs and very, very sharp thorns. Mm-hmm. And just before Kartik, it blossoms with these beautiful reddish orange flowers. Look like a fountain of reddish flowers. And little tiny fruits come. Look like little peas, a little bigger than a pea. Mm-hmm. That's called tenti. Mm-hmm. In fact, the Brishbasi say, Kabul ka mewa or Braj ka tenti. Kabul has all types of dried fruits, and our dried fruit in Braj is mewa. And they love to make, it's called tenti, they make achar. Tenti achar. And if you ever eat at a Brishbasi's house, and you get some achar that looks like peas, but a little different, that's tenti achar. In fact, there's one lady in Jaipur Mandir, she always gives me some roti and some tenti achar to distribute to the devotees. So we see these trees here and there. It's the original tree of Braj. Whenever Rohini talks about Braj, Padmavati, Kamsa's mother, she becomes so upset. Why do you want to talk about that old sticker forest, that old thorn forest? And the poor guy, he was a little hungry. He took some butter and they pulled his ear. They chased him with sticks. Why do you want to talk about that sticker forest, thorn forest? So we see a few of those here and there. Then we come, because like Brahma has got 4 peaks. We come on top of another peak, just over, right across the way, we can see a Balaskar, and down in the valley, we can see the Sankari Core. And there's a little temple there that is called Dan Bihariji. Small little deity, not very big, very small and beautiful. What happened was one time in Unchagaon, which is a hill just behind, small hill just behind Barsana ways, which is the village of Lalita Sakhi, there lived a very, 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 very poor Brahmin, just like me. And just like me, he had a very, very beautiful daughter of marriageable age. Now I got mine married. So unless you're from India, you can't understand what the meaning of this is. He was very poor. He had a beautiful daughter, because you raise your girl, you dress her, you clothe her, you feed her, you educate her and train her how to serve her husband. And then when you get her married, you have to give money also. So if you're very poor, this is a big anxiety. Because if the father can't get a proper husband for his daughter, he will suffer for the rest of his life. And not like me, he had a wife whose tongue was like a razor blade, always cutting him. What kind of Brahmin are you? Get some dhan, get some charity. Arrange the wedding of your daughter. She's past age now. Finally, one day she said, look, I won't cook. I won't clean. I'm not even going to let you back in the house. Get out, get out, get out, get out, out. You get some dhan, you arrange the wedding of your daughter, or you don't come home. He said, oh, what to do? He said, anyway, Krishna, he's Deena Bandhu. He's friend of the poor. Surely he will help me. he must be there in Govardhan with all the Sakhis. So he came to this place and he saw Radharani and Krishna and all the Sakhis, and he explained his position. And Krishna said, what am I supposed to do? Huh? All my money's with Nanda Baba. I'm just a coward boy in the forest with my girlfriends. What can I do? And that Brahmin, he began to cry. Now, Krishna, he doesn't like to see the Brahmins unhappy. We sing every day, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya. He likes to see Go and Brahman hit. He likes to see them happy. So he said, all right, I don't have any money, but I have one Priya. Now, Priya means dear. And in British English, dear means something very, very expensive. Just like the Americans, they freak out when their petrol gets to $4 a gallon. But in England, of course, they sell it by the liter, but if you figure it out, it comes out to be $7.5, $8 a gallon. Oh, it is so dear. He said, I want Priya. I give that Priya to you in charity. Krishna made sankalp, and he gave Radharani in charity to them. Then that Brahmin really began to cry. First of all, I have one daughter. I can't even get her married. Now you give me a second one. Now my wife is going to kill me. And Radharani said, but Krishna, you know, I can't live 1 second without you. No, I've given charity to a Brahmin. I cannot touch. But you know, one moment I can't stay. And Radharani began to cry. And he said, no, I've given charity to Brahmin. I can't touch. And seeing Radharani crying, all the Sakhis began to cry. Now everybody's crying. So Krishna thought for a moment. He's all right. You bring one scale. Not like you have in your bathroom at home, but when you go to buy your fruit across the street, like that scale. So he sat Radharani down on one side of the scale, and he told all the Sakhis to take all their bangles and necklaces and earrings and gold and silver and pearl and diamond, everything, put it on the other side of that scale. Now, if you go in the New Delhi temple and you go around the Prikrama path, right behind Gornitai, the Russian devotees have made a beautiful painting of this pastime. You should go there sometime. Whenever you visit, stop in Delhi and see. So when that all weighed, all that gold and silver and pearl and diamond and everything weighed just as much as Srimati Radharani, then he gave that in charity to that Brahmin. That Brahmin became very happy. Hari bol, Hari bol. He ran up to Uchigaon to get his daughter married. And Radharani became happy. Seeing Radharani happy, all the Sakhis became happy. In one stroke, Krishna Chandra made everyone very happy. Sri Radha Krishna ki jai. So this is Dan Bihari. And outside, we call it a hindol, but we know in Jula, and we know in ISKCON, Jula, swing. So outside there's 2 columns, and there's a beautiful archway with some holes to put ropes and a swing. And there they do most beautiful Jula Yatra. Most beautiful Jula Yatra. One time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and his disciples came there. And they saw Radha Dan Bihari swinging in the Jula. Immediately told his disciples, he makes some outfit for them. Because it's a real mood of Braj. We should go there not just sightseeing, but we should think of service. So like Dan Bihari has so many beautiful sandalwood and saffron paintings on his face. I have one lady she's from Mauritius, but she lives in Toronto or Montreal, one of those cold places. And every year she brings a little vial of saffron for Dandi Hari Temple. We should think of doing some service. So across the way, we see Bilaskar. We also see Hindol there, big swing. This is original. Because at that time, some part of the year, Radharani stays in Java. Sometimes she comes home to visit her, especially during the rainy season. She comes home to Barsana to visit her father and mother. So it's very hard for her to meet Krishna. And she's feeling separation, and Krishna is feeling separation. So, on top of that Vilaskar, there's this beautiful swing. So to cheer up Radharani, they were swinging on the swing. Suddenly looked down in the pass and they saw this beautiful darkish gopi coming very sweetly through the paths. And Radharani said, who is this Saki? We don't know her. And Lidas Visakha went there. They brought that gopi, she's very shy with her sari pulled over her head and she just peeking at Krishna Chandra. And Radharani said, oh, my dear sister, why are you standing there? Sit here with me in the swing. So they sat that beautiful gopi down with Krishna, with Radharani in the swing. Now the secret was, this was a darkish gopi. Now you may have figured out, this is Krishna Chandra. Now he's got his desire. He's sitting right next to Radharani in the swing. Boop, 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 boop. He fainted. Then all the Sakis were, oh, what happened? What happened? They're pressing like this. Now, if we press like this on a woman, it's very soft, but suddenly they felt something hard. And from underneath Krishna's chadar, they pulled out his flute. Then they unmasked Krishna. And from that was the Kadasi day, from the Kadasi up to full moon, that is the Julan Yatra of Radha Govinda. We see on our calendar. Julan Yatra of Radha Govinda. So after leaving Dan Bihari, we go through a big wall and we come to Jaipur Mandir. What happened was the original Sriji Temple was just a small temple, not very impressive. In fact, if you know where to look in Barsana on top of the hill, you know where that old temple is. And then there was a temple, there's a dome over what's now the kitchen, that was a second temple. But the temple wasn't very grand. So the king of Jaipur, he bought this area on top of the hill, and he built a beautiful palace. If you've been there, it's a so amazing example of Rajasthani architecture. Very intricately carved jali work, lattice work, out of solid stone, and huge temples. So many rooms all around, big temples surrounded by this building. It's a big door with wooden door with brass decorations on it. Huge old door, and you come inside. Very wonderful place. Because he wanted all his ministers to come there, so he made rooms all around, and they would hold court in front of the real king and make all their important decisions in front of the real king. But after he built this temple, when he tried to move Radharani, she wouldn't move from that hill, that other hill. Because she knew these Jaipur Wallas, they're very tricky. They took Madan Mohan, Govinda, Gopinath, they took them all to Braj. I don't want to Jaipur. I don't want to go to Jaipur. So she refused to move. So then he installed his own deities, Radha Kushal Bihari. Kushal means the happiness you feel in your heart. So this is Radha Happy Bihari. And they very strict about taking pictures. We managed over the years to get some pictures. Very beautiful deities of Radha Kushal Bihari. And you'll see very big, tall columns carved, and so many. And these kings from Jaipur were coming in Surya bumps. So you see, when you look back, you see above the door, there's a stained glass Surya right above the door. And this king, he was a disciple of Nimbark Sampradaya. So the picture of the king is there. And then on the other side, a picture of his guru. With Nimbarki Tilak, a special Nimbarki Tilak. And on the left altar, there's a very special deity. This is called Hans Kopal. Because Nimbarka Sampradaya, they trace their lineage down from the swan incarnation of the Lord. So you see Hans Kopal, sometimes we got in the Pujari to lift up the cloth and you can see his wings like that. And first there's 4 little black figures, that's the 4 Kumaras. And then there's another figure, that's Nard Muni. Then there's Nimbarkacharya. And then there's Srinivas, who is his main disciple, principal disciple. So this is Hans Kopal. And then on the right side altar, there's a little tiny deity called Nritya Gopal, dancing Gopal. And you can see, and they have a little storage area. You can see they have a little Rath Yatra cart, because they take him all around the courtyard for that Rath Yatra time. Very grand worship was going on there. Jaipur Mandir. And we go around, and so many beautiful paintings on the wall. Barsana is there. Nandagam is there. Krishna Balaram are there. Then we go through the back hallway and sing sweet, because it echoes like anything in that hallway. And we swing very nicely. Then we come out and there's Krishna and Balaram killing Kamsa, the wrestlers, and Govardhan Lila, and stealing the garments of the gopis. And finally, there's one, there's Damodar Lila part 1 and part 2. On the top, we see Mother Yasoda tying up Krishna, and then on the bottom, we see him knocking down the Arjun trees. So part 1 above, part 2 down below. The next picture is part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Janmastami. Vasudev carries Vasudev across the river to Nanda Maharaj's house. He takes the girl and comes back. And then there's Kans trying to kill her. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Well, first there's Devaki and Vasudev with Vasudev Vishnu appearing. And then he carries him across and he brings the girl back. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Then very, very cute painting of Julan Yatra. Here you can, these pictures, you can take photos, no problem. The most cute Radharani and Krishna swinging, or Krishna swinging Radharani. So beautiful painting. So then we leave Jaipur Mandir and we go through the gate and we walk through this garden. One of the few things that the government actually maintains very nicely. Beautiful trees and bushes are there. And beautiful garden is there. We finally come to Sriji Mandir. And here again, they're even more strict about taking pictures, but we've over the years, now people have so many mobile phones, we managed to get some. So you see my Facebook page and you can find some. And these deities are known as Ladli, Lal. Lal, of course, we know means little boy, and Ladli means little girl. Very beautiful deities. And this season, they're way back inside the altar. Sometimes they come outside And sometimes they go inside. Cold season, they're inside. And sometimes they come out on the darshan mandap and they close off the darshan mandap. But right now you can see very nicely Radha and Krishna. And so many wonderful paintings, and the ceiling is Vraja Lila. And then there's one painting of there's some bluish little flower girl bowing down before Radharani. And what happened was Radharani was very upset with Krishna. So he was staying at Prem Sarovar, nearby is Prem Sarovar. And he called for Lalita Visakha. They came there and said, I can't live, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't drink, I can't even live without Radharani. You make some arrangement. And Lalita Visakha, they went there to Krishna, to Radharani. They told her he can't eat, he can't drink, he can't sleep, he can't live without you. And Radharani said, this fellow is not only black on the outside, he's black on the inside. He's black through and through. He has cheated me so many times. I don't want to have anything to do with this black fellow. So they went back, they told Radharani, it's very difficult. And he went, made some plan. So they were sitting there in Barsana with Radharani. And suddenly they saw one little darkish flower girl. And she had a basket full of flowers and very beautiful malas. And said, who will take my malas? Just by the touch of my malas, all your cares will go away. Who will take my malas? And Radharani looked. Oh, besides, you hear that flower girl? All your cares will go away. And Radharani looked. Nobody in the universe can make a garland so beautiful except one person. So she says, all right, you call this flower girl here, this Malini. So she came and she bowed. That's the picture. She's bowing before Radharani with her basket of flowers. And she took the garland and she put it on Radharani's neck in such a way that you'll have to touch Radharani's neck. And Radharani, she said, nobody in the universe has touched like this. Only one person. So she looked at this flower girl. We should reward her some way. This garland is so nice. But she's not dressed very nicely. Today we'll take off all her clothes and give her new clothes and give her new jewelry. So you bring her here. And the Sakhis, they grabbed the flower girl and they began to bring her before Radharani. And they began to try to pull off her dupatta, her blouse and everything. And they were said, why are you fighting? We're all women here. Women are not afraid to be undressed in front of other women. What's the matter? And Krishna was fighting, and somehow or other, they finally took off his dupatta, they took his choli, and they opened it up, and all these flowers came falling out. And all the Sakhis were laughing. Oh, just see how Radharani made fool of Krishna. And the big festival here is Holi. But they do the Holi on the Nomi day. We do on Purnima, Holi Purnima, but they do on Nomi. Dasami in Nandagam, Kadasi is Banki Vihari, and then all hell breaks loose all over Braj. But on the Nomi day, all the Brahmins from Nandagam will come to Barsana. And they bring the flag of Krishna and Balaram, Nandalal's Janda. And they come charging up the staircase, and everybody's throwing color on them. And they finally come charging into the temple room, and they got these big buckets, 50-gallon barrels of colored water. And they have these big, Prabhupada translates, syringe like as pitchkari. And they're squirting all this pink, all this yellowish color and throwing red powder. It's a big festival. And then they run up onto the ramparts and run around the ramparts. They come down and bow before Srimati Radharani. Then they all sit. It's become a red sea in the courtyard. And they sit facing each other, Nandagram Brahmins and Barsana Brahmins. And they sing old Radhastami songs. And they have somebody in each corner with a huge bag of powder. And meanwhile, they're squirting from up above, and from down there, somebody with the blue powder throws like this. Somebody comes pink, then green, then yellow, like this. Each corner, there are different colors coming. Finally, those Brahmins become completely black and blue. So after they finish singing, then all the Brahmins from Nandagaon go downstairs, and they have turbans on with gamshas and towels and everything tied up inside, very heavy turbans. And they come, and all the Brahmanis, which Brahmanis? Not everybody can play. Only those who are married in Barsana, those who are born there, they can't play. The Brahmanis who are born there, they come with these big, this big around latis, sticks. And the Brahmins, they throw insults at the ladies, and the ladies just, and they have these big shields. They put all kinds of colored tinfoil all over, make some funny designs, and they put it over the head. Bam, 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 bam. And they do it with full force. They jump, boom, boom. And their skirts are dancing. They have this little gold and silver fringes. The skirts are dancing. They have this veil in front of their face. That's dancing. Everything is dancing, and it's just bang, 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 bang. Then finally somebody will stop them. Another guy gets down, and bam, bam, bam. It's called Latmar Holi, hitting with a stick Holi. This is a famous of Nandagram in Barsa. Now it's too crowded. I don't go anywhere. I've seen a couple of times and fulfilled my desire. Now it's too crowded. Just to get out of the parking lot will take 2 hours. But at least once in a lifetime you should see somewhere or other. And it's very, very interesting. I took one of the Kushamataji, one of the ministers for women, with some of her friends. We went there. Somehow they survived. And they saw there's a lot of this women bonding going on. Because they're not their husbands, not beating their husbands, they're beating their friends' husbands. So this women bonding is going on. He said, Kusha said, if we did this in ISKCON, we'd solve a lot of problems. So, and that yellow color that's with water, they take this special flower called keshu. It blooms in the springtime, but they dry it and save it all year for holy time. And they mix it at night, and it becomes bright yellow and very fragrant, and it washes right out. Not like now of course, nowadays people have started becoming ecologically conscious, and they use biodegradable colors, but old days it was pure, chemical. It was just after Holi, you would just, your skin would just get dry up, and so many things. Now it's nice, but the yellow color is natural, and it washes out after 2 times. So this is a famous, and then we go down the stairway, so many stairs all the way down. And usually that's the end of the Prikrama. But we're going to go a little further down this little alleyway to the left. And we cross over a bridge over the canal. A big building is there, and behind that building, there's a kund with some strangely colored water. What happened was one time Yasoda Mataji, she couldn't control herself. She smeared turmeric paste all over Radharani's arms. That means she's betrothed. And Radharani, she ran away. She was embarrassed, and she got to Barsana. She said, my parents, what will happen? So she began to wash her hands in this kund. So this kund became pili poker. And she washed and she washed and she washed. And she couldn't stop. And the water was turning bright yellow and floating back and forth and back and forth. And Lita Sakis, you're going to wash out your heart. You can stop now. But once you get turmeric all over your hand, you can't get it off, you know. And so then it's a whole long pastime. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. But then what happened was Krishna Chandra walked by, herding his cows. And suddenly, what? He said, I didn't remember a yellow kund here. And he went down and he couldn't understand, what is this yellow substance? He got down next to the water. What is this stuff? Radharani's liquid prem was there, so he couldn't, he was just intoxicated. And finally, he just got down into the water to see what it was. In fact, he went so far down into the water that all you could see was his peacock feather going through the water. Didn't know where he was. And he became completely golden. Not only golden, he was filled with Radharani's spav. And he began crying, Krishna, he's Krishna, he's crying, Krishna, 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 where are you? And all the animals, everyone was so astonished, seeing Krishna in this form. They didn't know what to do. And then, as all potions do, they wear off after some time. So then Krishna suddenly regained his sham color and began herding his cows. So this is a very special place called Pili Poker we went today. So we're well over the time that I wanted to be. Just a few minutes here for anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to say. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Once again, thank you so much. Normally we read.
My pleasure.
Normally we read and we hear that one is able to see Lord Krishna's pastimes through his devotees' eyes. And today was the day that we have seen through your eyes and through your words. So thank you so much. Is there any question or comments from any of the devotees? You're most welcome, though we are out of time. Maybe one or two questions quickly. If not, then I can request His Grace Nitaipat Prabhu to please pass the word of thanks. Nitaipat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna. What is your name?
Nitai Pad Das Prabhuji.
Huh?
Nitai Pada Das.
Nitai Padada. Sorry, because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read. Nitai Pada. Okay, wonderful.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. On behalf of all the devotees present here, honestly, I don't have much words because we are all left mesmerized. And although being stuck in Auckland and yearning to be in Vraja, and it's been almost 2+ years for most of us, and yearning to be there, but somehow or the other, by your mercy, through Shabda Brahman, you've actually transported us from Auckland to Vraja. And
yes, we all went to Vrindavan today.
Absolutely. And through the parikrama, through Barsana, and into the eternal aprakita leelas that happens there every day, every moment. So blissful. And you've given us a taste of the transcendental bliss, a drop of that. And it's only what it's cost us is it's actually increased our hankering now.
Yes, now India is open. I don't know what's New Zealand's situation, but India has opened its borders now. So
I think we are still kind of in lockdown till April end. So I'm sure all the devotees present here, then they are with me when I say this. They are eagerly praying today for the mercy of Srimati Radharani to be present at Vrindavan and go on a parikrama with yourself, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And we beg and pray that you give us more of your time and association and take us through other parikramas around as well, and sometimes possibly even around Radhakund, time permitting, based on your busy schedule, please.
Certainly.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
For 2 years, I didn't do hardly any parikramas. Then Kartik, we started up again. Now we're doing a few.
And so wonderfully, you took us through all the Sankri Court, Chiksoli, Mor Kutir, Man Mandir, and how we understand that everything in Vraj is there to serve for the pleasure of Shri Radha and Krishna, just like the black snakes. There was a very nice learning thing for us. And the kund that was dug by Krishna's flute, the Madhumangal, hilarious Madhumangal pastimes, the Gabarvan forest, the Dan Bihari Mandir, Julan Yatra, Jaipur Mandir, and finally Sriji Mandir. And of course, again, the Latmar Holi. I think we were present there as you were describing and as you were narrating it. I think we've sort of, in a way, fulfilled our desire there. And finally, we came to the Pili Poker Kun. So we are ever grateful to you, Prabhuji. I can't thank you enough with words for filling our hearts with bliss.
Well, I can't thank you much for giving me this opportunity. After 2 years, I was just bored because nobody was coming.
Haribol is pure nectar, pure nectar.
All right.
Jai Ho.
His Grace Deena Bandhu Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Srila
jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
We have Nashinga prayer.
Yep.
Gopi.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sumit Prabhu is going to sing Nashinga prayer tonight.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadayine Hiranyakashipurvaksaha Shilatanghanakhalai Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yatto Yatto Yami Tato Narsimha Pahir Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha Narsimham Madhim Saranam Prapade Tavakare Kamalvari Natham Adbhuta Singham Dalita Hiranakasipu Tanu Pringam Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Narsingha Dev Jaya Narsingha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Bol Narasimha Dev ki Jaya Prahlad Maharaj ki Jaya Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Request Krishna Prabhu to give a picture of for class for Monday.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So on Monday, we'll have His Grace Gokuleshwar Prabhu, and he will be speaking on the prayers of Mata Kunti. So that's on Monday. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So our daily program has come to end today. So from next week, we'll go twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. And if time permitting, we might do some few more other days. But basically, Mondays and Wednesday, as Krishna Prabhu said, we'll do on Monday. We're going to start the prayers by devotees, starting with Kunti Devi's prayers by Gokuleshwar Prabhu. So thank you very much for joining us this evening for a wonderful parikama of Barsana. That's a wonderful pastime. Yes, Prabhu. Somebody want to say something?
Prabhu, Tuesday and Thursday, as in the past, Vijay Gopikesh Prabhu's classes were there. So will it be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays as before?
Yes, the Bhagavad Gita classes will be continuing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, on the same
Same.
Zoom.
And timings, Prabhu?
Timing we're looking at being from 7:45 to 8:45.
Okay, Prabhu. So
No,
pretty much 4 days then.
yeah, 4 days, but 2 days will be class. We are on chapter 18. We didn't finish for the last 2-3 months, so I think you will try and finish chapter 18 within these few days,
Okay.
few weeks. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
And
Krishna.
Prabhu, so we will announce for tomorrow's Harinam and Prasad distribution.
Yes, Prabhu, you announce.
So tomorrow we'll have a Harinam in Manureva town. So that will be starting at 11:30. Along with we'll be doing a Prasad distribution as well. So please join in. Maximum gathering 100.
The Prasadesham will start at Costuless. Yeah, that's the Mesh Road. I think number 1 Mesh Road. So we'll put you on our group today. You can come tomorrow, 11:30 with Prasadam distribution and through the town. And we'd like to distribute some Gita. So please come in first and see how you go. Thank you. We also have quite a bit of literature, especially Bhagavad Gita and other literature. So this is Barasan month. So please come and help Srila Prabhupada to distribute this Sanskrit literature. We are already doing some devotees already started, and we have got a huge variety of Gita, etc. So you can feel from Temple through Bhavasani Mataji, Krishna Chandra, or from South Auckland to Nitai Prabhu, myself, or Bilamangal. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. We'll see you on Monday. That will pranam. Srila Prabhupada, ki jai, good, bhakti, and good family, Hari Guru. Kunchakar Patra Vaishya, Kripa, Sindhu, Shabbat,